because I got to know her well. Because she and I feel like I'm at church, and now the offering. May the Lord be with you. I'm sorry, that was terrible. This next comic I met because she and I were trying to pitch a series on NBC, a television show that did not get picked up. That's why we're standing here tonight. And it was about a probation officer and a lesbian football coach? No, kickball team. Yeah, and that's why it didn't get picked up by NBC. But I think you're going to love her better than the idea for that show. She is super talented, super funny, and amazing. Put your hands together for Ashley Watson! Keep it going for your host, Mr. Byron. Thank you, guys. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here because on New Year's Eve I had to do a family-friendly show. Yeah, eesh is a good response to that. And I was prepared for it. You know, I had to prepare clean material. What I was not prepared for was the 6-year-old girl in the front row who heckled us the entire 40 minutes. And the best part of it was at the end of the show, I got up with the other comedian who had performed with me, and I said, you know, how old are you? And she's like, I'm 6. And as soon as she started to answer, her brother next to her was like, I'm 8. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. He's already learned how to talk over women. It's kind of adorable in a fucked up way. No, I've been running every day. I've been trying to take better care of myself, and I found that it's easier if I motivate myself by treating myself to something afterwards. So today I went for a 3-mile run, and afterwards I treated myself to a cigarette. That was good. No, I've got to quit smoking. It is such a stupid habit. It's so expensive, you know, and I'm trying to save money, which is really difficult for me because I am the world's worst impulse buyer. It's gotten so bad. I went to the Walgreens the other day for lotion, and I came out with a pregnancy test. I'm gay, by the way, so there's no need for that. I got a new job recently. I'm the marketing coordinator for a software company. It's great. I work with all guys. It's just 4 guys and me. And as a feminist, you would think that wouldn't be ideal, but it actually works out to my advantage. For instance, I wore the same pair of jeans to work for 3 days in a row, and nobody noticed. It's great. The kitchen's always full of like Pop-Tarts and cookies and all the shit their wives won't let them eat, so that also works out. But we target a very specific audience. We target mainly IT professionals. And so I was joking with my boss, and I said, you know, I'm just going to post a bunch of shit about Star Wars and call it a day. And thank you. And he laughed like that. But the next day, somebody posted something on our Twitter feed, another tech company, about Star Wars condoms. This is a real thing. And the tagline was, wrap your saber. The first time I told that joke, I almost said, wrap your satyr. Which would have been an entirely different joke, especially if you're Jewish. No, wrap your saber, I thought that was pretty clever, but you know, the condoms don't glow in the dark, so I thought that was a missed opportunity. Plus, if they're trying to target IT guys, you know that condom's never getting used. I mean, they'll be too afraid to take it out of the original packaging. I'm originally from the South. Any fellow expatriates in here? No one? Okay, great. I have a hard time telling, like I always tell people I'm from Alabama in Vermont. They're like, oh, that's interesting, you're from Alabama. So tell me, how did you end up in Vermont? And I'm like, how did you forget 5 minutes ago when I told you I was gay? Like, I don't understand. And to be fair, I know you Vermonters, you don't get down to the lower 48 that often, because why leave the womb if you don't have to? I moved here and was like, why does everybody hate outsiders? And then I was like, oh, you people have just been comfortably lying in the fetal position for 7 generations. Just get your own uterus. So I have a hard time explaining what it's like in the South, and the best example I've come up with, or the best analogy, is, you know that tortoise versus the hare fable? Southerners just took that to an entirely different level. We're just like, slow and steady wins the race. Well, shit fire. Y'all Yankees going ahead with your human rights. No. We'll just be back here with our homophobia. Y'all go on now. My mom gets really upset when I make fun of the South, though. She's like, Ashley, why do you always have to make jokes about Alabama? And I'm like, Mom, you're from Tennessee, so I don't understand where all this state pride's coming from. Also, the only good thing that's ever come out of Alabama is Helen Keller. And let's face it, she's not exactly, she's no Anne Frank, I guess is what I'm saying. Thank you for laughing at that. A lot of people are a little, I mean, Helen Keller's never gonna know. Because she's dead. Oh, I'm a writer, and I have to stop telling people this because for whatever reason it really intimidates people. Like, all my friends have hired proofreaders just to send me text messages, as they should. And partly it's my fault, you know, because like basically I'm just an old curmudgeon trapped in a 37-year-old body. So I just sound like a Republican bitching about gay marriage when I talk about language. I'm like, people in their run-on sentences and their comma splices just ruining the sanctity of language for the rest of us. So I get it. It's partly my bias. However, comma. I do think I have a legitimate fear that one day soon our entire language is just going to turn into a series of emoticons. Like, you'll open the newspaper, oh, did you see this in the news about Donald Trump? Yeah, it looks like he's angry about something. That could be anything, I don't know. I hope this doesn't happen though, because our language has so many beautiful nuances. For instance, there are very polite and subtle ways of telling someone, go fuck yourself. And my favorite example of this is the phrase, with all due respect. You know, you've written that email to the coworker. With all due respect, Bill, clean up your Pop-Tart crumbs from the kitchen counter. Now, as a lesbian, when I moved to Vermont, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought I was going to be like that NFL team that gets the first draft pick, you know? But then I suddenly realized, like, oh, fuck, they all moved here to get married. So now I'm still waiting for that first round of divorces to come rolling through, you know, just going to stand outside City Hall passing out my number. Never too early to get back on that saddle, sweetheart. Look, there's no shame in shopping at a thrift store, okay? Like, who doesn't want that nice, well-worn-in pair of jeans with the holes right where you want them? I think my main problem, though, is that for whatever reason, I seem to attract these women who are kind of questioning their sexuality, and then they meet me, and they fall in love with me, and they come out of the closet, and then they promptly break up with me. And I was telling someone this a few years ago, and she was like, oh, so you're the gateway lesbian. I just went with it. And I was like, yeah, I'm the marijuana of lesbians. That's me. They just use me and move on to the crystal meth. It is Vermont, after all. Oh, too soon? Okay. Any public radio fans in the audience? Yeah, I love VPR. I listen to it on the way to work. And recently, this headline caught my attention. And the headline was, officials are having a hard time getting homeless people to vote. Yeah, I was very stumped by this one. I'm like, first of all, like, what think tank is having a hard time, like, sitting around going, like, what could we give homeless people? Like, what do homeless people possibly need? And they also, like, are they thinking that these people are, like, waking up underneath the bridge in the morning and be like, oh shit, I almost forgot, I gotta vote for the District 9 comptroller today. I'll fight for that half-eaten bagel with you later, pigeon. I gotta go vote. This is not a scenario that's happening, people. One of the things I love about living in Burlington is we're so close to Montreal. You guys like to go to Montreal? It's great. I actually have a friend there who speaks fluent French, which is wonderful because the only word I know is poutine. So I go there and order a shit ton of poutine, and I know it's a little like cliche and touristy, but so are all the strip clubs I go to when I visit. So. The last time I went, I came home and I stumbled on this article that says we're actually mispronouncing it. It's supposed to be pronounced Putin. So as it turns out, the entire weekend I had been ordering a prostitute. And seriously, and not only did my friend know this and just continued to let me make an ass of myself the whole weekend, but they never brought me my prostitute. So I'm a little upset about that. So yeah, it's the new year, and actually getting a new job has been a real blessing because I was unemployed for much of last year. And the worst part of that was it was the first time I'd ever been fired from a job. And it was really shitty because they gave me some bullshit excuse, you know, like they sat me down in the HR office and they were like, Ashley, we just feel like you're not putting the company first. And I was actually pretty shocked by this, you know, like I wanted to say like, look, I have worked here for 1.5 years and you morons are just now figuring that out. So I just said, listen, with all due respect. My name's Ashley Watson. You guys have been a great audience. Thank you so much for coming out.